Whoa. You would think I could do this before I got started. Alright, let me set up my live feed over here. Play around with the formula a bit this evening. Man, I got one in the house and 2 thumbs up. Oh, now I got 2 in the house. Alright. Get the feed going and we'll get started. All right, Chris A first. Good job. What's up? Good evening from Scotland. Good evening back. Pipecast by Rivermont Studios. Good evening. GM, what is that? Makos from Greece. Richard Otto. Texas Piper. Patches Seller. We're filing in. Alright, let's see what I'm going to smoke this evening. I think I'm going to smoke this Series 3 621. You see it's got some irregular colorations here. This one was returned to me because it whistled. And curiosity got the better of me. So I figured I would test that out. Keep it for myself. Honestly, it hasn't whistled. I mean, if you blow through it, it will make a whistling sound. But at the way I puff, the way my cadence is, particularly when you have a 9mm filter in it, and it's full of tobacco, it's not whistled at me once in actually smoking it. So I'm going to load up some Windjammer. I've been smoking through this since Friday. This is new to the market. It's a new blend from GLPs. And as you might expect from the 10 art, it's kind of, it's a navy style tobacco. But it's got Virginia's and Burley's and toasted black Cavendish, as well as Perique and some rum as a topping, possibly as a casing. It doesn't specify, but let's see. Where are my? I've got my little table turned sideways, and my reality is askew. Okay. Yeah, I'm sure we'll talk about Windjammer a little bit. Richard. Chris, welcome. Humdrum, welcome. Riley, I hope you get it sooner than that, but the way the weather's been and the way the post office has been lately, it could be around that time. So anyway, this 621 I've smoked it maybe 5 times this week so far. I'm not sure about this discoloration. It wasn't really there before I started smoking, so it may be weeping a little bit. But there's no cracks in the bowl or anything. Sometimes that's just with an unfinished pipe you get that, and as it colors over time, that kind of stuff just blends in with the darker color, the darker it gets while you smoke it. But it does have some really cool grain, like some straight grain. It's not going to show up, but looking at it, I mean, there's straight grain all the way up on this side and some on the other side. But it does have some fills here and there. Anyway, that's what the Series 3 is all about. Oh, I already put a filter in. Processed Bird, welcome. Alright, let me get a tobacco mat going here, because this Windjammer comes in a broken flake. It's not really a broken flake, but it's definitely not whole flakes. I think I listed it as a broken flake. Reminds me a decent bit in the presentation as something like a Navigator blend. But there's more, well, there's different, and I think more component pieces in this blend. Also reminds me a decent bit of Black Frigate. Maybe possibly just because of the rum topping. They may have used the same rum. Not 100% on that, but the Black Frigate has been doing me right, and this stuff has been doing me right as well. I've been kind of comparing those two this week. I'm not sure which one is going to win out. The Black Frigate has a little bit of Latakia in it. Not much, but a little bit. Guys, I don't mean to complain too much about the weather, but for Florida, it's been very cold this week. And my little split vent that I've got out here has not kept up. It's tried to freeze up a couple of times. Question was about Mississippi River and plum pudding from Seattle Pipe Club. What's the winner for me? It really depends on the day, but I would probably say more times than not, my preference would be Mississippi River. So it's just I think it's got a little bit less Latakia in it, a little bit more complex of a blend, what I would consider a kitchen sink blend. Piper on 45. Stephen Skip. Steph, I still haven't gone back. I haven't gone back and watched your contest yet. Been busy this week, but hopefully I can find that video and watch it, where you gave away some cobs. Those got shipped out, by the way. Matches. I have not tried the McBaron Virginia crumble cake. Boca de Boynton. Hey there. Oh. No! Might be a 2-match light. I can't tell you why this is, you guys, but I really got out of the habit of using a match for my first light. I have no idea why. I've got boxes of matches in here, and for some reason I guess I ran out of a box and never replaced it, even though the boxes are sitting right here behind me. I just got in the habit of using lighters all the time. But I'm back on the matches now. The first lights with a match, if you can do it, if you're not out of doors, that's the way to go. There we go. So the Windjammer, I haven't had open very long. It's not soggy. It's not super wet, but there's some moisture in it. So it takes a bit to get it going. And not only that, but these flake pieces, they're not super thick, but they're, you know, it's a flake. So you kind of, I tend to rub my flakes out so that they light better and stay lit better. I also tend to dry them out more than what I've been doing with the Windjammer. Briar Gecko, you'll have to tell us what you think of the Windjammer. So I compared the Windjammer a little bit to Black Frigate by Cornell and Deal, which I don't carry, but I think I'm going to start carrying the Black Frigate because I've really been enjoying it. There's a little bit of Latakia in that, and honestly, if I hadn't read that there was Latakia in it, I don't know that I would have picked it out. There was something going on there, and it turns out it's the Latakias and the Orientals, the interplay there, but there's not that much Latakia at all. It's really hard to pick up on. But if you're just not a Latakia fan and you know that and you don't want Latakia in your blend at all, Windjammer would be the way to go. There's enough Perique in the Windjammer to pick up on. The Burleys and the toasted black Cavendish is a little bit more tricky. So, Briar Gecko says about the Windjammer, very sweet, nice retro, lit easily. Yeah, the retro in particular is it's a fairly sweet taste. Not what I would call an aromatic by any means, but the rum mixed with the Virginias and the toasted black Cavendish makes for a nice sweet kind of taste. Hmm. Um, Texas Piper, as far as the rum coming through, I'm trying to think. The Windjammer, the rum isn't as overbearing as it is with the Black Frigate. Now, with the Black Frigate, when you pop that tin, you know there's rum in that thing. This is a bit more subtle. Where's my Black Frigate? Right here. Yeah. The Black Frigate, there's no mistaking. There's rum in it. The Windjammer, little bit more downplayed. That should do it. Yeah, I think it would. The Windjammer would be a candidate for aging. Riley, I think I mentioned maybe before you typed that, but the Cavendish is a little tricky to pick up on in the blend for me. It's been a little while picking and piping since I've smoked the Navigator. That is one of my favorite blends. But if I recall, Navigator has dark fired in it. Um, let's see. I think Navigator is Virginia and dark fired, and it's got a richer taste. So it depends on what your preference is. I love dark fired and Perique, so I just like them both. It's hard to choose between the two. But they are comparable with the rum treatment. Yeah, I wish I had time to dry this out more before I pressed play. But they're both broken flakes. They both, I mean, they look very similar in the tin. I would say maybe where'd it go? Yeah, the Windjammer looks a little bit darker than the Navigator because of that black Cavendish. Oh, I made a mess. At least it's off camera. Oh. So I'm glad I have my new shotgun mic on the phone tonight instead of the lapel mic because I had steak for dinner last night and I had steak for lunch today. And I take my steaks rare, and usually it doesn't give me any problem, but today my stomach's making some very interesting sounds. So I'm glad the lapel mic's not right here. Samuel, I'm doing well. I hope you are too. Nicholas Cox, welcome. Oh, thanks, Boca. I'm glad. I was a little afraid this mic was going to be not pick up volume as well as I'd like it to for a live stream. I just kind of have to remember where it's at. That's kind of why I shifted over here. Typically, I have my laptop over here, but I'm going to try it here because the mic's on this side. Boris the Piper, welcome. We got 58 in here, y'all. Oh, that's good. Good to know about the mic. Supposedly there's an app for it, but I don't know if the app would work in the background while I'm doing a live stream, so you can adjust the spread, the sensitivity spread. I'm not a sound person, but I have general, uh, sound knowledge, I guess you could say. Amateur sound knowledge. From all those years playing bass in a band, and I wasn't a phenomenal bass player, so every now and then you mess around with the soundboard. I mean, you get tired of playing, you know, your E and your A string. Hmm. There are such phenomenal bass players out there. I'm not one of them, but I enjoy playing. What else did I want to talk about? So this is a third one I've been comparing this week. I think I mentioned it last week along with the Black Frigate. This is Cornell and Deal's Blockade Runner. The verdict's out on this one for me. It's a straight Virginia with a rum treatment, and I think it's probably the base Virginia blend to the Black Frigate, and then they added other stuff to the Black Frigate. I think I like the black. Well, I know I like the Black Frigate better. I like the Windjammer better. So even if I start carrying Black Frigate, I'm not sure about the Blockade Runner. We'll see. Now, if you're a straight Virginia fan who likes Navy cuts, Blockade Runner might be something to check out. Oh, Boris, I don't. I think Nightwish might need a better bass player than me, and definitely a better secondary singer. Marco from Nightwish had such an amazing voice. Has. He just chooses not to share it with Nightwish at the moment. Which brings me to another topic that most of you don't care about, but I wanted to mention it. One of my favorite bands effectively split up this week. Not so much split up as four of the five members departed. So there's only the original member left, and he's the main songwriter. So he says, and this is Delane. I'm talking about the band Delane. He says he started Delane as a project, and it kind of morphed into a band. So he's just going back to that. He's going to start using guests and keep, guest singers and guest musicians, and keep making Delane music. I don't know how that's going to work out. Seemed really strange that four of the five members left. I'm kind of interested to see if they get together and form another band themselves, and what that would sound like. And maybe Marco would have something to do with that. Marco from Nightwish. All up in the air, all conjecture, but yeah, we might wind up with three bands between Delane and Nightwish. Possibly a third project. What other Kentucky blends do you like? Picking and piping, I love Old Dark Fired from McBaron. That's my favorite blend, period. Not just my favorite Kentucky blend. I also love Cornell and Deal's Bluegrass, Navigator. There's there's plenty more, but those are probably my top ones. Irish Flake from Peterson. Does Sixpence have? I like Sixpence quite a bit from Peas. Let's see. I think Sixpence also has Dark Fired. Yeah. Now the Sixpence has a liqueur topping, so it's not rum, but it's something a little bit lighter. But it has Dark Fire Kentucky and Perique. So for someone like me who loves Dark Fired Kentucky and Perique, you put them in the same blend together and it's pretty magical. Or at least it can be. But Sixpence is another favorite. Chris, thank you. I picked this shirt up some time back. It's my Don't Tread on Me shirt. It actually says Don't Tread on Me down here where the belly is. I try not to show that off too much. Austin, I do like Cheroot cigars. Um, some of my favorite cigars to smoke, and I don't smoke cigars a lot anymore, but I used to, I mean, from my early 20s into my, from my early 20s to my late 30s, I primarily smoked cigars. And only occasionally would I try my hand at pipe smoking. Now it's flip-flopped and I primarily smoke a pipe. But I love Cheroot, Toscano style cigars. Those Paradise cigars are really good. Everything that company makes. I can't remember the name of that company. But yeah, I like the dry cured cigars. Not the only cigars I like, but I really did enjoy those. And they didn't overstay their welcome either. They were just little stubby guys, maybe like that, maybe a 4-inch cigar at the most. What else I got to share with you guys? Um, I got a big comment here. Oh, it's weather. Weather related. Hot Rod Bob says I smoked cigars for 30 years before smoking pipes. Yeah? Do you smoke cigars now, or did you completely give them up and just move over to pipes? Is that my wife already? She'd be here early. Heard a door slam. We're already at the 30-minute mark. With 68 in the house, y'all. I guess Wednesday's a decent enough time for a live stream. We'll stick with it. '21 goals, Texas Piper. Yes, I don't know that I want to share every, all of my personal goals, but I do want to lose some weight. I'd like to lose 30 pounds, which I did about 4 years ago and then gained it right back 2 years later. And I've kept it. So I would like to lose at least 20 pounds this year. So far, it's not going so well. But tied to that, I need to be more active. I need to exercise more. And I haven't really gotten back on that train yet either. Professional goals, I think this is going to be the last year that I build out inventory. And what I mean by that is I'm going to reach max capacity here at the Nook as far as inventory storage, probably towards the end of this year. And then I'll be very careful after that about introducing something new. It'll probably have to coincide with letting something go. And as I've always said, I wanted the Pipe Nook to be a limiter of choice of sorts. So I didn't want to ever offer 100 pipe brands and 100 tobacco brands. That's just not on the radar for me. But with that being said, 2021 hopefully is going to be a heck of a ride in adding products. I do have quite a few plans in the works. Patch a Seller, I do ship to Canada, but you have to email me. You can't place the order on the website. So just send me an email. I can't ship tobacco to you, unfortunately, just pipes and accessories. Hot Rod Bob, that's what happened to me. It didn't happen overnight. There was a time where I was smoking cigars and pipes side by, well, about 50-50, and then it just slowly changed to more pipes and more pipes. And now I hardly ever think to pick up a cigar unless I'm traveling. Yeah, I've smoked my cigars up. I've got pipes stored in my humidors now. Yardism, I'm gonna have to look at that. Favorite 80s hair metal power ballad. I'm gonna have to go with, just right off the cuff, if you're talking about hits, like radio hits, When I See You Smile by Bad English. I just love John Waite's voice, man. When I See You Smile. People make fun of it, but I still love that song. Tony, I am thinking about growing the beard again. thinking about it. But Yardism, it does beg the question as to what you would consider a power ballad. Like, is Skid? Do you think? Answer me in chat. Do you think Skid Row's 18 in Life is a power ballad? Because that's a killer one too. But it's not really a love song, so I don't know if you would call it a power ballad. Similar song to that would be Don't Close Your Eyes by Kix, which is about suicide. But a killer, structurally, it's a killer power ballad. Oh, I got another one. And this might not be considered hair metal, but it's from that era. Aerosmith's Angel from Permanent Vacation. Angel is one of my favorite songs. Man, I love that song. That's not everybody's favorite Aerosmith album, but it was my first Aerosmith album. I was 12 years old when that came out, if I recall. Cliff, out of bacon. Man, it's a rarity to have bacon here at Gray Manor. Consider yourself lucky, sir. Kathy, I'm seeing all the chat. I am glad you're on the mend. We don't really have any trips planned for this year yet. We've heard that Biden is. I don't keep up with the news on a daily basis, but the last I heard, Biden was talking about locking down Florida for travel, and I think he means coming into Florida, but I don't know. So we'd like to plan a little getaway, but we might just plan to do something within Florida. It's a big enough state, you know? Well, Hot Rod Bob, tell all of your cigar friends about your buddy at the Pipe Nook. I'm always here to answer questions. You guys can send me emails or tune into my live chats. Cliff 18 by Alice Cooper is another phenomenal song, but not a hairband ballad. I always love that line. I've got a baby's brain, I've got an old man's heart. Yeah, a couple of people mentioned this, and they might not have been here when I showed this pipe, but this is a 621 Savinelli shape in the Series 3. Just started coloring this one up. It's a bent Dublin shape with a saddle stem. It's a really nice pipe. Feels good. Can get a little hot, you know, as the it burns down to the slender portion here. This can get pretty hot, but overall smokes really well. I don't have to worry about that when I'm smoking 320s. Oh, I'll have to look for your VR, Chad, for that question. Who originally posed that question about 80s favorite 80s power ballad? Yeah, Cinderella's Don't Know What You Got Till It's Gone. That's one of my least favorite songs on that album. It's not a bad song, but definitely it's not one of my favorite power ballads. But man, Long Cold Winter by Cinderella, that's their second album. One of the best albums of that age. That style of music, even though, I mean, their stuff's always been bluesier than most in the hairband camp. I think they just kind of got pigeonholed into being a hairband. Probably record label pressures and cultural pressures of the time. Hairbands were hot, and they were a hard rock blues band, I think, that just kind of got the hairband treatment. Slap some lipstick and rouge on and tease your hair up. Instant hairband. Oh, I probably already missed you, Cliff, but have a good evening. Steph Skip, I would say Meatloaf's I Would Do Anything for Love. Is that what it's called? But I won't do that. That's a good one. It's hard to take them. It's hard to take Meatloaf seriously, though. That's not like a. I mean, he sings it very sentimentally, but I don't buy it. You know, it's really campy music to me. Yeah, analog. I did shave up, and then I grew it out for a little bit, and then I shaved the sides off. But I think I'm gonna grow it back. I've never had facial hair to play with before this past year, so I'm just kind of seeing what works and what doesn't for me. Medu, what's the best tobacco for a beginner? I would say Carter Hall, but you can't find it right now, and I still don't have any word as to that. Um, some other, what we would call drugstore blends that are good would be half and half. That would be a decent starter. It's half bright Virginias and half Burley. Um, but it depends on if you're looking for that aromatic smell that so many people think about with pipe tobacco, or are you looking for, are you coming from cigars and you're used to stronger tobacco? Because Cornell and Deal makes a good bit of those types of tobaccos that kind of maybe tip the hat to drugstore blends. Um, Cornell and Deal's Epiphany, Americana, Pegasus. Those are all good, burley based blends. That might be good starter tobaccos. But if you're looking for aromatic, I would say start with Autumn Evening by Cornell and Deal and the Virginia Cream by GLPs, and you can move on from there. Daniel Leslie, the difference between the Savinelli 320 and the Rossi versions, which they name the 8320s. Mostly it's just that the shanks, or not the shanks, but the stems taper a little more tightly than the standard Savinelli 320s. The bowls themselves are fairly identical. There we go. So here's the stem on a Trevi 320, and here's the stem on a Rossi 320. You see that? They actually wind up about the same place, but it's more of a dramatic taper on the Rossi. Well, maybe that's not the best way to describe it, but they're very, very similar. If you're looking for a clincher, the Rossi's might be your best bet on a clincher, depending on how far up you clinch. I typically clinch starting about right here on my stems. Yeah, there's about that much in my mouth while I'm smoking. About a half an inch to 3/4 of an inch. Yardism, I also hate the term hairband, but I just kind of roll with it because we're not going to win that fight. You know, I mean, Guns N' Roses did not sound like, you know, all hair bands did not sound the same. Dawkins sounded very different from Bon Jovi, who sounded very different from Cinderella, who sounded very different from, you know, Trickster, but they're all lumped in as hair bands just because of the time. You know, I have not tried the Kringle Flake. Austin, I like Bon Jovi a lot. They're one of my favorite bands from that time. That got started in that time period, 84 through 88. I love Slippery When Wet. I love New Jersey. I think their stuff got a bit spotty after that, but, you know, 7800 Fahrenheit's really good. Their first album's really good. So, they do have some lyrics that are questionable, but musically they're strong, or at least they were. And Steph and or Skip, um, it wouldn't be a stretch for me to believe that John Bon Jovi was a jerk when you met him. Overall, he seemed like a nice guy, but I think any of those guys could be jerks, you know, back in the day in particular. But I met Don Dokken, and he's one of my all-time favorite singers. I love the band Dokken. I know he's hard to get along with. I met him at a meet and greet, and he was interested in how things sounded after the show, but he didn't seem standoffish, but he seemed just kind of like a negative person. Um, but I'm not gonna let that ruin how I feel about his music. And it could have just been an off day for him. I feel like you can enjoy a person's art without approving of all of their personal decisions or their political stances. Um, you know, let the art stand on its own. Yeah, since I don't have an update on when Carter Hall is going to be available again, uh, who put that in? Tony, if you want to share a website that has pouches for those that are out of Carter Hall and want some, feel free. Ah, oh, I picked up a cheapy lighter. I know doesn't work, but I haven't thrown it away yet. In case you guys were wondering, that was a Mr. Brog lighter. These are made in China. They're like 15 bucks, and this one just doesn't want to. It doesn't. It must have a slow leak in it, and it doesn't keep a steady flame when it does have butane. Oh, I got my famous patented comment jump. $72 for a tub of Carter Hall. Good gravy. Not worth it. Unless it was the last tub of Carter Hall on Earth. Hot Rod Bob, Captain Black for beginner. Maybe the original, maybe the white pouch, or the Royal. Somebody just needs to let those beginners know if they start with Captain Black, that's not the be-all end-all for tobacco, the tobacco flavor spectrum. Sir Walter Raleigh, good starter OTC. That was my great grandfather's smoke for 70 plus years. Velvet's a decent starter smoke too, but it tends to nip me more than the other drugstore blends. That could just be me personally. Oh, Cliff got his bacon, you guys. I just got a text. Don't lose any sleep. Oh, Daniel, you are going to get me in trouble talking about Elvis. I don't know if I want to open that can of worms. I'm not an Elvis fan. I'm not really a Beatles fan. I've heard that there's either Elvis people or Beatles people. If I had to choose, I would choose the Beatles. I mean, you know, the king of rock and roll is just some title that somebody made and it stuck. I would say Michael Jackson is definitely the king of pop, but you know, Springsteen is called the boss, but you know, Huey Lewis didn't clock in for Springsteen, so uh, I think without Elvis, you know, rock and roll would have still shown up. I don't think he was the originator of rock and roll, certainly. Chuck Berry, maybe. I don't think Chuck Berry gets the um, accolades that he should. As a musician. Oh, Briar Gecko. Dawkins Under Lock and Key is one of my all-time favorite albums. Definitely a dated 80s sound. Um, but man, what a killer sound. Particularly coming off of their last album, which to me sounded like it was recorded on a 4-track in a garage with a screen door on it. Aaron, we're here for a little bit longer, not too much longer. We're past the hour now. Still got 73 in the house though. That that might 74. That might be the most we've had. I haven't been eyeing it too much. Little Fat Morgan. I like Evanescence. Well, nobody's perfect. They're not terrible. They're just not my cup of tea. If I want to hear, you know, harder music with female vocalists, there's so many more bands I would rather listen to than Evanescence. Uh-oh. Pipes out. Oh, let's see. Steph, I am so sorry to hear that. But yeah, they were definitely skeevy dudes back in the day in particular. Hopefully that's changed over the years, but who knows. Um, Boca, what song did you pick from Def Leppard? Love Bites? Def Leppard's Hysteria, the song and the album are phenomenal, but Hysteria is a good one. But it's not really I don't know if you would call that a power ballad, because it starts off real delicate and doesn't get super strong. Oh, my comment jump. Eddie, what entertainer or musician do you think had great music or movies but went under the radar? Ugh, that's a. I'd have to think on that. Uh, the Dream Syndicate is a band that doesn't get a whole lot of love, but I really like the Dream Syndicate. Um, Particularly their album Ghost Stories, which was a bargain bin pickup. I'd never heard of the band before, but I kind of liked the album cover, and I think it was $1 on cassette back in the day. So I picked it up at my local sound shop or record bar, and that's one of my favorite albums to this day. And then the singer had a solo career that lasted beyond the Dream Syndicate. Steve Wynn, Wynn. He's made some really interesting music over the years. The movies thing, that's a tougher one. I'd have to think on that quite a bit. Skip, have a good night. If I hadn't already missed you. Oh, another band that only had one album that I love. This album is the Laws, L A apostrophe S. I think their only album came out in like 91, 92, something like that. Phenomenal, phenomenal record. Amazing harmonies, excellent Britpop type stuff. I mean, it was just so good. And I looked for years and years for a follow up, and they never made another album. Little Fat Morgan, I'm not sure who you're referring to about what I would classify their music as. Is it Ash Wednesday? Upland Piper, Meerschaum pipes. I'm not a super fan, but I have a couple. They're good for a change of pace. But to me, I don't think they beat out a Briar pipe. There's something kind of sterile about the smoke. It's kind of hard for me to convey. Daniel, I never got into the Rolling Stones. I never really dug into their music until this year, actually. Um, there's some stuff I like, but they're not a favorite band of mine. I do want to go back through. I listened to every Rolling Stones album from start to finish in order. I want to go back sometime and revisit. There weren't too many albums from them that I was like, ooh, that's one I want to go back to. There were a few, but I might just need to steep in it a little bit. If I had endless money, what guitar would I buy? And what genre of music would I play or listen to? I can't pick just one genre because I kind of have well, more than two, but I have two main interests in music. One is metal, many different genres of metal. And one is what I like to call Americana, which would include Tom Petty, the Jayhawks, Sun Volt, a band called Lucero from Memphis, um, Uncle Tupelo, Early Wilco, Fleetwood Mac, even though they're not an American band. Um, that kind of stuff, kind of folksy, a little country, a little rock. What kind of guitar would I buy if money was no object? I don't know. I just might get a really good Telecaster or a really good Strat. It would be hard for me to pick just one guitar as well if I knew I had all the money I could spend. I'd have a good Strat. I'd have a good Tele, American made, maybe custom shop. Never been a Les Paul fan myself, but I'd probably have one if I had a bunch of money. I don't know that I could just pick one guitar. If I had to pick just one, it would be a Telecaster of some kind. Maybe a Tele with a humbucker in the bridge and a Strat pickup in the middle. Definitely want that lipstick pickup at the neck. But, guitars these days are kind of, you can buy a factory guitar or you can buy an artisan guitar. And there's a lot of artisan guitar makers, just like there are artisan pipe makers. So I'd probably have to get a couple of those, which I definitely can't afford right now. They go in the thousands. Oh, an Epiphone, I can buy an Epiphone right now. If I had all the money in the world, it wouldn't be an Epiphone. Nothing wrong with them. Epiphone is kind of the sub brand to Gibson, much like Squier is the sub brand to Fender. Nothing wrong with them, but definitely, lesser components, cheaper components. Do you have a guilty pleasure song? Austin, I have tons of guilty pleasure songs. Um, I don't even know where to start with that. Tapao. You remember the band Tapao? They have a song called Heart and Soul that I really like. Walking on Sunshine by Katrina and the Waves. I mean, I could go on and on with guilty pleasure songs. Albert King, amazing guitar player, also a pipe smoker, if I recall. Yeah, if I had all the money in the world, or more money than I needed, I'd have a lot more guitars than I needed. Trust me on that. I'd have a guitar and amp room in my house. And I rarely even play anymore, but of course then maybe I'd have more time to play. Boca? No. I'm not gonna sing a guilty pleasure song. Rick, sorry, it's probably because I was back here. If I'm closer up to the mic, it probably sounds better. But yeah, the volume on this mic is a bit low. I'll grant you that. Daniel, the pipes, I would say don't waste your money on. I mean, there's plenty out there I would not recommend, but the ones that burned me the most were Baracini pipes or Baracini pipes. I don't think they're very good pipes at all. You'll not find them at the Pipe Nook. Ever, ever, ever. Unless they really turn a corner. I don't know who makes them. They might be made by another company, but not great pipes. By and large. You might get lucky, but I think I bought 3 of them before I decided, nope, not going to try again. Had to return a couple of them. And the ones I got back weren't great. Um, I am not going to relight again. We're closing in on an hour and a half, guys, so I'm about to wrap up. Daniel, I don't know what to say about music, like a regret, because every guitar and amp I've had has been good. You know, I've bought, traded, and sold many, but you know, I don't think I ever bought an amp or a guitar that I was like, oh, this is not great. I don't, not good. Um, all right, guys, I think we're gonna wrap up. Thanks for hanging in with me so long. Still got 54 in the house. My hat is off to you. My hat's been off the whole time, but you know what I mean. So we'll do this again hopefully next Wednesday. Hopefully I can get a video or 2 in the can and uploaded this week and not just do live streams all the time. I keep meaning to do that, and I've had a pretty spotty record. But we'll chat with you guys again soon. Have a good one.